Right, so I'm going to try and do a live. I'm recording it as well, just in case. But you know, it's been like today, dropping every 5 minutes. Today's drawings, these 6 drawings, I think out of all of them, that one was the best one. It never intended to be, but that was kind of like the orange and the brown that you know. I started, you know, with the orange one, and then the orange pastel, and then used the brown. But that was a particularly difficult one, like that one there. That was one of these these charcoal pencils, having to press. Whereas with that, there's no pressure required. Sorry, I'll just hit the mic. No pressure required to make the marks, and you can see all the subtleties of marks as well. With this, to get anywhere near the density, I have to press hard on it. It gets in the way of drawing. You want to be able to flow on it. So the harder you have to press, the less likely that you're going to appreciate or discover marks. So that was the worst one to do, as I say, with these nasty charcoal pencil things. Never really liked charcoal pencils. And then that again was a pastel pencil. They're very flowing. The Conti pastel pencil, nice pencils. That was Conti pencil, and you can see that all this stuff, which is fabulous. That just happens as part of the flow. So with the charcoal pencil, you have to really press. You know, I'd say that if you're going to draw with any pencil, draw with a Conti pastel pencil. The same with this one. That's Conti pastel as well. Really nice things to draw with. Just no resistance at all. Nice and flow. It glides over the top. And that was the first one. Again, pastel pencil. Which is why I'm going to draw now with one of these wax crayons. Because of the flow. I've just checked. This is some nasty paper. I've just been all day. I've been using unsuitable paper, and now I'm going to use more unsuitable paper. Now this is designated as a sketchbook, an A3 sketchbook. But look at how thick it is. It's what I did the constructed, you know, oil pastel constructed style things on. Very thick, but it's a sketchbook. But it's like cardboard, or it's like card anyway. So but it's smooth and it suits the wax crayon. You know, the wax crayons like to glide. You can see. Look, you can't see, but anyway, I can see. They like to glide, and one of the things that I think is critical for me is this ease of as it glides across the surface. It just makes everything so much. Because I'm not having to press at all. There's no effort into the mark making, and because of the glide, you get the lovely sort of happenstance kind of happenchance thing, whatever, serendipitous marks that you couldn't deliberately make. That's the beauty of it. So that's why I like these gliding over this. It's this guy drawing this guy. So that's why I like the gliding over the surface thing. These are good. These little crayons. These are the sort of little cheap things you get for kids. The ones I could find online were this long, and the little ones I found them in. I saw them the other day in might have been a pound shop or something in Rotherham. But these are Staples. These ones, Staples, the stationers people. So nice length that. Nice length, stops you from holding it like a pencil. This is a bit long, so you end up doing that with it. And drawing like that is a lot harder than drawing like that. The cradling thing, which comes from the charcoal, really, and stops you from being sort of get wrapped up in the detail and the execution thing. So this will require a kind of effort to increase the density of it, but not in the same way as you would have to with the charcoal pencils. It will just be multiple lines that do it. The thing about, if you saw me using these before, it is that build-up thing that creates the density, the tonal levels. The beauty of this one as well is that you get control over the, you've got the tonal control, as you would with a pencil. The difference being that it's a thicker line, and it's there is little or no resistance at all to it, as you would get with a pencil. So, I mean, after today, I suppose, doing all those different faces today, I think the one thing I like about working that quickly is the acceptance thing. When I work on something that takes longer, I get further and further away from the presence, the moment thing. And as you get further away from it, I was about to touch it, but I won't touch it now. The further you get away, you lose all the spontaneity, and it's for me, that's what makes it special. It's the spontaneous marks that are in there, marks that are probably wrong, but there's still more. There's more life in them than the ones that I deliberately make. So, as I said, the spontaneity thing is a big thing for me. The other thing as well about these is that you can make lots of marks that are never really going to make any difference. They're going to be hidden by once you start to work on the density of things and tighten everything up. The initial marks are just going to get overwhelmed. The hierarchy of marks thing. So yeah. I'm trying a little bit harder with this rather than it being, because today's were just experiments really, mostly to do with trying to get across this response thing, the driven by response as opposed to trying to replicate. That's where I was coming from, and now you've got the formula of I actually got a formula, the attention plus response equals outcome. It's quite a nice formula as well. I'm gonna probably, that's another T-shirt that Gav. So what was yesterday's T-shirt? Feel what you see what you feel. That was yesterday's. So now I had a different one this morning, which was. Success is a different way of looking at failure. That was going to be a T-shirt, and now we've got this formula of intention plus response equals outcome. So I'm on fire today with T-shirts. I'm fingers crossed this is going to not drop because. It's not showing anything yet, and the wind's died down. I'm convinced it was the wind that was doing it. Because when they fitted the fibre, it's a box that's dangling from a local telegraph pole, basically. So it's not like anything structural or engineering wise. They just strung it from a local telegraph pole. But we'll see what happens. So hopefully I'll be able to do this without it dropping. He wouldn't even let me back on again earlier when it dropped. I think it might have been the red lady. It might have been that, but can't remember. That's the thing about doing so many in a day. You sort of everything becomes a blur. Yeah, it's and to be honest, this is what you'd never really think it, but it's exhausting. It's exhausting doing that many in a day. This is the 7th one today. Now I've said this before about when I get on a roll, sometimes it can be as many as 7 in a day, and then somebody turned around and said, "You can't possibly have done 4,000 portraits." Well, if I'm doing 7 a day, sometimes, minimum I'm doing 2 a day. But and that time I asked ChatGPT to write my a background. You see it on the underneath on the description of the videos. ChatGPT wrote that, but it said if something about it didn't believe that I've done 4,000 portraits. It didn't believe me. That's ChatGPT didn't believe me. If the claims are true, it said it would have had to do so many days. Well, yeah. I mean, I got that from LinkedIn, that somebody was calling me a liar for saying I'd done X amount, and when I'd done 2,000, and they said, "Oh, you'd have to do this, that, and the other." And that's, another body, a human, saying that, and you kind of expect that from some piece of work on LinkedIn, because that's the kind of people they are on there. But this for a computer program, that's clearly not a proper program, and despite what they tell you, these things are completely biased. So written by people who have already got bias, and the thing called algorithmic bias, and there's been investigations into the bias that's built into AI programs anyway. Racial bias. It's just ridiculous. If people are putting their businesses into it, you know what I mean? It's just frightening stupidity. So, yeah. I think with these wax cranes, as you start to apply a little bit of pressure, and I think the other thing about them as well, I think they get soft. You know how the oil pastels get tackier the more that you use them; they seem to get stickier. I think these do as well. I think because of the friction, obviously they're starting to be more pliable, and that's when suddenly, if I change direction, if I apply a bit of pressure, it makes much more darker marks. So, which is good, and you also get the added benefit of this cumulative tonal rendering. Like it's not hatching, but it's kind of like hatching. You can see what's happening now, and I think that's one of the reasons I like them. When I was using them before, I drew it was a girl in blue, and it was really, really good. It had a depth in her hair. She got quite a hairstyle. Like he's gonna have something, and it because of the changes in direction as this gets warmer, it's creating these nice sudden depths in the shading, like it's doing it now, where I'm gradually building up, but at the same time applying a little bit of pressure to it to increase the density of it. I think the danger is with this, though, is that they will become drawing-like, the pencil drawing-like in there. If it's a danger, I mean, people might like that, but it just got me thinking about, I drew John Farragassi, or I can't remember his name, how to pronounce his name, and he said he didn't like it because it wasn't like my more bolder, explosive type of treatments. It's like, yeah, all right, John. I mean, some great people have drawn him, so I'm not going to say anything. There's some amazing artists that have drawn him, but just doing this like this, I just immediately popped into mind that this is just going to look like a grey pencil drawing, and I don't think John would like it. I don't think that's his surname. You know, I can't think of his surname now. John, is it? I don't know. I can't remember. Can't remember. It's not, you know, it's not John Paragassi. I think that's in that. Oh, I can't remember now. Gone completely. Anyway, his name's John. It's definitely John, and it begins with a C. Can't remember. That's what it begins with. I can't remember. And lots of people have drawn him anyway, so who was I to think that he would, you know, I could compete with some of those amazing artists. In fact, what's his name's done him? It's put as a course as well. Oliver Sin. So, you know, that's the kind of people that have drawn him. So I don't think for 1 minute that would be considered to be in the illustrious company, in such a illustrious company. So genius, though. I mean, absolute genius. Just I think he is a model, an artist model, but to actually invite people from all the world to and supply them with pictures and then ask them to paint or draw him, and you know, the fame, just like without actually doing anything, just taking a few pictures. Marvelous! What a brilliant idea. So I'm going to up the tonal values. I was going to sort out me sort out the alignments a minute. I'm just going to basically up the tonal values, mainly just quick marks. It seems to, as I said, because of with it being wax, it softens it. I'm sure it softens it when it's, you know, you're moving pretty quick with it. And I think that's the secret to making it appear darker. Caracasco, something like that. Nearly came to me then. Something like that. It's Jack Faragasio. That's the famous artist who I'm connected to. Jack. He's an artist. Student Art League, I think he taught at. But I think he's some connection to the Riley Institute as well. So, amazing artist. Book covers, illustrating, that kind of thing. I first met him, I said to him, because back in the day, it was illustrators like him were just gods, And I said to him, literally that. Back in the day, people like you were just worshipped like gods. And to meet him, to talk to him, rather. I haven't met him physically. The guy is, I think he's in his 90s, so I seem to be still doing it though. There's still occasional drawings popping up, and I think he's been ill a couple of times, but he's still there. Still, of course, this it must be all weird. It's certainly strange when I think back about the days when before computers and before Instagram and before Pinterest and all that kind of stuff, how it worked. It was just so nice, It was just so skillful and crafty, and that business, the commercial side of things, not necessarily painting. I don't think it's changed at all, but the illustration side of it was so craft orientated, and it was quick. It wasn't. We worked quick, but I don't think we work as quick as they do now. The thing about it was the preparing it for print. Whether it was we only work in black and white, or you've got to draw separated. Like a separated into colours. If you were doing, say, a silk screen kind of thing, or if you were really into it, then you'd be doing reverse lithography for etching, like drawings, or even etching. It was just, as I say, I think the screen printing one was there. I love screen printing. It was great. Not so much the photographic side of it. The making the masks for the screens, but the cutting out the mask out of paper, out of newsprint. That was great. That took you separate it, and then separate the elements, and then make the masks. It was just great. As I said, it was just all the craft stuff, and people that could do things. They didn't need a mouse or a computer, full stop, to do things. You know what I mean? It's just, and how all that changed. Frightening. What I'm going to try and do is get a bit more subtlety in the tones. It's just going to be a little bit. I don't want it to be blended as such, but I think if I can get it to be a bit more like it's changing now, for instance, I'll get it to be a bit more, let's say, subtle. So this, you know what I mean? It's not so linear. There's more, if not blended, but just definitely more subtle tones. Let me just try and get these shapes right here. So from there, so I'm going from there to there, right? From there to there is the top of the hair, right? So it's that distance I'm looking at now, which comes down to there, right? And then lines up down there. So I can get away with that. And then from there, I've got that, and I've got that, which is this bit here I'm looking at here. So I'm doing that, right? And then down to here, a few curls into there. There's a curl up there, and then I can then fix all that. Right, yeah, I think the hair's about the right size. So this kind of thing, I can't remember if I could rub this out. I think I did manage to rub on this, so I could actually, if it gets a little bit too dark, I can actually just take it away with the rubber, with that stick rubber thing that I've been using earlier. I was going to say, so far so good with the YouTube connection thing, but I'm worried about tempting fate. I said it anyway. Jack Faragasio and John Caracasco. I think that's how you pronounce it. So I know it'll come to me eventually. And I keep meaning I was going to try them again, you know, in a different style, different medium or whatever. But I can't be bothered. I don't need to prove. I don't need to, you know, I don't need to do it really. But as I say, I just drew him normally. I'd seen Oliver Syn's drawing, and it was just straight drawing. You know, it was Oliver Syn. That's what it was. So, you know, typical Oliver Syn. So that's what I did. I did this sort of typical kind of draw, a bit like this. That's what I'm saying about this pencil type of feel about things. Grey. Whereas, you know, things that are more contrasty is more my style. So, and that's what I think what John was hoping for. And this is me just thinking, oh, just draw it, proper draw it, you know, academic like, making it look like that. Because Oliver had done a, you know, this is how you draw beards kind of approach to it. And I wanted to say, not always, you can draw them like this as well. But that fell on deaf ears, I think. So, like I said, I think I can scratch this off, or you know, take it off a bit with the rubber. So I'm going to have a go in a minute. And I want to get the hair density right. And that's just going to be overlays of overlays of overlays to get the, to get the build up. But which you can see it's doing now. But as I said, there's no real, with these things, there's no resistance, and it's just a case of just over and over and over the top of it, and it just builds up gradually as it's getting, so the wind's getting up. So if it drops again, it's because the wind's blown the box on the pole. It's the only explanation I can think of that why I keep losing my connection is not stable. It's because the wind's blowing the box that's got my fiber connection in. It's got to be. I've seen these line of sight reflector things in remote parts, and why wouldn't it be the same kind of thing with this fiber stuff? I always thought they had to dig up your front garden and run wires, optical fiber, literally. But no, they can do it via, and it's delivered to the house via a copper wire, which is like, how does that work? Oh no, it's not actually. It's not. I tell a lie. It's not. They actually brought from the box. They brought a fiber optic wire into the house. So I do apologise. I'm mistaken, but as I said, it was it wasn't a big deal at all. And I'd seen people having the roads dug up and the gardens dug up to put these fiber optic. No, just dangle it from a pole and it runs over the top of from a telegraph pole into the house. So yeah, you can see now that the density's getting, like this bit here, for instance. You can see how it's starting to build up. If it gets to that kind of density, I've got to, and there are other areas on the drawing that have that equal density. I've got to make sure that they do, or on the beard, for instance, that has that same density, up into the hair has that same density. I've got to make sure that they all balance. Otherwise, I'm going to get some kind of undulation, but it's not balancing properly. But it doesn't matter if I'm using these or I'm using charcoal. The same things apply. I still have to consider the balance of tones to avoid undulations. Yep. yeah, as you can see, it gets quite can get quite dense. You know, the black it can reach, and it's just a kid's crayon. You wind it up and down to make it a bit longer. You know, don't sharpen it or anything. So, but it will create a very good black, a very good. Well, yeah, I suppose it is black, isn't it? Like I say, I just think I think I can rub it out. I'm going to try in a minute to just lighten the certain bits of it. So we'll try, see whether or not it'll take it off. Yeah, it does. It makes it lighter. I know I did this before with the. Yeah, it does. It will make it. It will take it off, and make it lighter. That's good. So these are pretty impressive things. These kids' crayons for ease of use and. Just I think the drawing, the capabilities, tonal capabilities. I think they're great for that. They will. Last time I used them, though, the only thing I don't know if you saw them. I did one in blue, which was the last one I did, and then I did of the set, and I did one in green and one in blue, one in red. The was all right, but the green was just mad because you couldn't see it. It was just, it wasn't a PPE kind of green, but it looked really a luminous pea green. Anyway, yeah. So I'm going to tighten everything up and make it a bit more accurate, I think, and see if I can get a bit more definition in things. I spoke too soon. Connection's getting a bit weak, so I'm going to finish off now. Call it a day, and before it actually crashes and the screen goes black. So I'll tidy everything up, sort out the tones a bit better, and I'll stick it on the socials. And I'm also going to edit this and put it onto up as a video rather than a live. So I'll catch you tomorrow now. So that's 7 in a day. I tell you, once I'm doing it, I'm doing it. Admittedly, they're not all highly finished, so but still, it's still 7 drawings in a day, 7 portraits in a day. And I think the favourite one is definitely the one that shouldn't have worked that way. That one, I think that's worked out really good. That one, although drawing on the backs of the these things was. Which is what it was, and so the paper comes out of these pads, and I've just been drawing on the back, the back of the thing that's left over. So that was a challenge in itself, but yeah, I think that one's probably my favourite of all of them. Right, I'll catch you tomorrow now.